Hey, we spent the weekend refreshing our Saginaw 4-speed for our 56 Bel Air. I put new seals in the front, the rear, the side panel, new O-rings on the shift linkages, got my Hurst Competition shifter taken apart, lubed up, readjusted. Everything's working great. If you're interested in seeing how we got this done this weekend, stay tuned. Alright, welcome back to another episode of Restoring Christine. I just shut the camera off from filming, videoing the small block rebuild. So that was the last episode. And now the next thing we're going to get into is this Saginaw 4-speed transmission. So this thing is crusty. It's got a lot of junk on it. But we're going to go over this thing. And but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few minutes today to clean it up. And I don't know that I'll get any work done, but at least right now, I'll know that I'll have this thing clean. So let's go ahead and work on that. So I rolled it into my driveway. It's a rainy day today, but I'm going to use the best degreaser that I've ever used for the best deal. Oven cleaner, $1.25 from the dollar store. I guess they should start calling it the $1.25 store. But I think I got this tip from maybe Uncle Tony's Garage. And this stuff's amazing. For $1.25. I used 2 cans to clean the engine this weekend, and now I'm going to use it on this transmission. So let me go ahead and spray this down and we'll start scrubbing it. So this Saginaw has a Hurst shifter on it, the Hurst shifter kit. Boy, and I tell you what, it is sweet. It really works great. I'm afraid to take it off for fear of goofing it up, but hopefully I won't lose the adjustment if I remove it. Hopefully the adjustment's built into it. So, because I mean, it shifts so smooth. It's real easy. So the Saginaw, this is the original. I think this is the original 1956 bell housing. This bell housing, it's got the original starter mounts. The starter mounts from here. It's like that, a bullnose mount instead of mounting to the block. And Christine was a 6-cylinder with a 3 and a tree originally. But when I took the clutch out, when I took the whole thing apart, the clutch plate said, I think, 1996. And there's still, wait till I show you the flywheel. The flywheel still got markings in it. That clutch wasn't used much, but I'm still going to resurface the flywheel myself. Might do that today. Still got a few hours of daylight. And my spousal unit's being very understanding, knowing that I need to get Christine together, so it's almost all of this 1 can. Yep, just 1 can, $1.25. You can see how it's cutting. So I'm gonna go get something to scrub this down, let that soak for a bit, and then we'll scrape it, and that'll be that. Oh, I wish I had a second can of that cleaner, that oven cleaner. Look at that. That's 1 can. You see that grime? You'll never buy the expensive stuff from the auto parts store again. That's amazing. Look at that. You wouldn't even know what color it was. From what I understand, these transmissions, these Saginaws, didn't come from the factory. They're cast iron, and they didn't come painted. But I did a little bit of research, and from what I understand, the blue indicates that this was done by Amco. So this is a remanufactured transmission, probably from Amco with that color blue. So I'm going to continue cleaning on this. Boy, look at that. That's 1956. That's awesome. Look at that. You know, I might leave that bell housing just as it is, just because that's it. That's original GM factory right there. I got new throwout bearing, new clutch, new fork. I got a lot of stuff, and I didn't scrub any of that. But let me go ahead and clean that, and then we can move on. All right, there it is, mostly clean. It's clean enough to start disassembling some things, to get the bell housing off, to get the clutch and everything ready to go. I got the throwout bearing. I have to put the clutch in the back of the motor, which I just covered in plastic, but I need to get the motor off, so probably the clutch is going to be the very last thing to go on when I start putting it into Christine. But next, let me show you how this Hurst shifter works in these gears. So it's first and second, third and fourth, and then reverse. And it's an H gate with reverse all the way to the left and up. So here's first, second, third, fourth, back to neutral. Try to work it into that reverse, and reverse is all the way forward, and that's reverse. Back now, first, second, third, fourth. It shifts really smoothly. In fact, it's not even lubricated right now. It's still shifting that smoothly. So I'm going to take this off so that I can clean it up and get this lubed up, and I'm going to put it right back on. And what I'm planning on doing, I got to get the throwout bearing off. I've got to get the fork. I got a brand new clutch fork because there's some tension tabs on it that I don't know how old those are. So I got a new one. And then I have front and rear seals, as well as gaskets for the tailpiece and this side door. All right, I'm going to confess. I'm no expert in all this, but I know how to watch YouTube videos until I figure it out. So I haven't yet found anybody show me how to release this clutch fork, but I'm going to show you what I just came up with. So on the back of this clutch fork, and this is what engages the throwout bearing, and there's a whole bunch of videos that tell you where to put and not to put the little clips, how this snaps into the throwout bearing. But back here on the little ball, there's a little tab that the only way to release this is for it to go that way. So that little tab is on the pivot ball. I got a brand new fork, so what I think I'm going to do is go forward all the way, and I got a little rubber mallet, and I'm going to tap that until it breaks free of the ball, and look, there it came. So now we can pull all that out. And this, I don't know if this was installed correctly or not. I'm not going to pay attention to it, and frankly, I don't care. So I got a brand new clutch fork, and it looks like the tab is broken off of one of these because I just went on a hunch. And I said, you know what? It's probably the old original one, judging from everything else. So we're going to go with I've got a new clutch, new throwout bearing, new clutch fork, and that's what we're going to do. So there's the ball that it snaps on. I'm just going to clean that up and reuse that. I doubt that's worn. But I need to get to, I guess, the front seals on this and see where we're at. I'm not sure about it, but this looked like it was clean. So if the seal, I'm not familiar with this, but if the seal is back here, I'll figure it out and see where we're gonna go. Those of you that watch my channel regularly know I'm a pretty sentimental soul. So one of the things about Christine, for example, when I was repairing the doors, I had a nasty door skin. It was just terrible. A lot of other people might have, given the same circumstances, would have said, I need a whole new door. And some people might have elected to buy a new door. So I, instead, said, no, I'm going to repair the door because it belongs in Christine. It's earned its right to be there. And I wanted to try to keep the soul and spirit of the car. So similarly, if you're looking at this bell housing, this is absolutely, without a doubt, to me, the original bell housing. And if I'm looking at it right, wow, this one is tight. If I'm looking at it right, that's the original finish with just a couple of extra coats of paint. I'm just going to clean up this bell housing, and that's going to be Christine's like homage to herself. And I'm going to let that be in survivor mode. It'll be underneath there. It'll be kind of like a tattoo on her inside hip that's under her clothing that you don't get to see, but I know is there and is part of the soul and spirit of everything that this car has lived through over its 60, almost 70 years of life. So let me go ahead and finish pulling this bell housing off, and then we'll get into the transmission. I was so busy on my soapbox, I didn't realize I was tapping it the wrong way. So, all right, one more to go. I had to get a socket on it. I mean, these things are like crazy tight. Cool, yeah, they are on there. All right, I know a number of you are going to cheer this decision, but I changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead and pull this plate off. I've got the whole gasket set that goes to this. So knowing that, you know, I've looked at the alignment, and it looks like it's the exact one. So there's just O-rings, and I'm assuming these O-rings go on the back of that backing plate, so I'm going to pull it off. And I don't want to take apart the innards, but I know this front nose needs to come off in order to change that seal, so let's just go ahead and do this. Let's see what it looks like. The fluid, gear oil that came out of it was yellow, so it's it looks clean. It looks really clean, which is good. It looks cleaner than what I pulled out of most differentials. Probably gonna pry it up from right there. There it went. Oh, yeah, it's got to come up. Oh, look, these little things come with the casing. All right, wasn't expecting that. Let's get this up. All right, and there's the, I guess these are the, I don't know what these little levers are, what they're called, but I know they're clutch, or they're dogs. On the inside, it's like the lower unit of a boat. Let's take a look in there and see what we're dealing with. Now, I'm not a machinist, so I wouldn't know good from bad. I'm just gonna go off the condition of the fluid, and I'm looking for bright and shiny. I'm looking for galling, and all that looks good. Yeah, I think it looks good. I'm no expert. Looks like there's some pitting on this gear. I guess that's the reverse gear. And then kind of like, I don't know which ones, I forget, but yeah, this gear looks like it's got a little bit of galling on it right now. I don't know if galling or just pitting, something, but we're gonna go with it because it's been running fine. So, but it operates really smoothly. All right, so now let's take a look at the cover plate and see what that's all about. So I need to see where the seals are on this and how that comes apart. Well, apparently really easily. This just slipped out, this slipped out, and then this little spring detent lever, that was in there. So probably want to disconnect the spring, but these just pull out, and there's an O-ring right here. So that's easy. I'm just trying to keep this in the order in which it was assembled, so I can put it back without goofing it up. And the good thing about videoing this is I can go rewind the video. There's another O-ring. O-rings don't look flat, but you know how O-rings are. This is easy enough to change, so I'm glad I'm doing this. Well, now where is that O-ring? Where is that one? All right, now I got the case, the cover, and you can see there's an O-ring right inside of there. So the groove is actually in the housing on this, on the reverse gear, and then it's on the shaft on the first and second and third and fourth. So this O-ring looks flat. That one looks flat. We're gonna go ahead and change them all. So just for whatever purpose, here you go. ZM GSK. So it's ZM gasket, ZM GSK 115, Saginaw M/T gasket seal kit. I guess it's manual transmission. Gasket seal kit, 3-speed and 4-speed. And there's a UPC on it, 83584 77041, part number 77041. So if you've got a Saginaw, there's all your seals, O-rings, and then gaskets. I mean, I don't like this. Looks like these two shafts are exactly the same as far as the shaft itself and then the O-ring. Those are identical to me. And I've got 3 different O-rings, clearly different. And then a little small little seal, you know, like in a carrier. So there's the 2 O-rings that were on it, and these 2 are identical. So I don't have 2 identical O-rings in this kit. And I'm looking, and it looks like both of these have a little bit of, they're a little flat. So I probably need to run to the hardware store and go get another O-ring that matches this one. Or I could just turn the bag over and see that it was on this side. Oh, I'm an idiot. There you go, 2 brand new O-rings. Good. Good. One last thing. All right, so let's see what, let me go ahead and put this back together, but this, I can see that the O-ring is in here, and I did match up with the new O-ring. The new O-ring looks like it'll fit right inside of there, so let's get that too. We'll be able to put all this together, and that'll be one less thing. Well, now that I put the new O-rings in, the old O-rings absolutely were flattened. So I've got the 2 new O-rings, or the O-ring inside of the casing. So put that one on the reverse shaft, and that's already in. Then I've got these 2 are identical, go on these 2. So I'm going to go ahead and reassemble this, but you know, it's a little bit of the O-ring is a bit of an interference fit. So goes in, ta-da, like that. And then this one, same thing. Yep. Okay, now I need to get the 2 fingery doodahs that move the clutch dogs and put those in like they were originally. So I decided to reach my finger in here in the bottom of this case, and I felt a ball, and I think it's a leftover piece from an imploded reverse light. But I'm going to dump the fluid in here, and I want to see what I'm dealing with here. But I'm going to clean the bottom of this and get rid of anything that I can. Get that making a huge mess. So, oh well, on the floor it goes. Well, that's what wheels will do in gravity. Dump it. There ain't a whole lot of fluid in it. All right. Clean that mess up, and then we can look at what's in the bottom of it. That's exactly what that was in the bottom of there. It was a ball that went to a backup light that must have imploded. So, all right, I'm digging in here, and I'm just going to pull out what little bit of sludge, but what we expect, it's a 60-plus-year-old transmission, or 50-year-old transmission. Probably 50. I think it's from the 1970s. While we're here and while we're looking at the gears, one thing I do want to point out is this, as far as Saginaws go, this is a 3-groove. 1, 2, 3 grooves on the input shaft. And what that tells us is that this has a certain gear ratio for first, second, and third. And this is I believe what they refer to as a wide ratio. This has got a very, very low first gear. It's in the 3s. And I think every other version of this transmission is in the 2s for the first gear. So I'll put the gear ratios up here. But this tells me that this has got a very low first gear. It ought to pull really, really hard. I've got a 411 in Christine, which I don't like. I want to go into like a 340s or 370s. I'd prefer a 370 something. But anyway, I might change that. Now the next thing I need to do on the transmission is pull off this front casing here. I forget what they call this. I think the thrust bearing retainer, I think is what they call this. So the thrust bearing slides over this right here. That's what it slides over, and then so I'm going to pull this off because the seals are behind it. So who was it that watched this video just now and saw this little ball and said, stop, you're being an idiot. That's not what you think it is, because you'd have been right on your bingo card. What this is this is a detent ball on the back side of the reverse lever. So I discovered that by finding this spring floating around the bottom of this case. Somehow it popped out as I was taking this apart. So on the casing is a little hole, and that's where the spring goes. Spring goes in there, the ball floats on top of it, and the ball goes here, and it clicks. So I'm so glad that I discovered that before I assembled this and had a major catastrophe from my hands. So let me put this back together. Okay, now that I have that set on the side, assembled, I've pulled off the 4 bolts here. I read online that some people have trouble pulling this off, and the reason is because apparently they put a whole ton of silicone on this. Now just notice there's a little lower section here that's at the bottom. Don't know why that is. Maybe that's got something to do with the balls and the ball bearing. Somewhere on here should be a seal. Looks like that's it right there. So I got a new one of those, like that. So I need to pop that out, push that back in. That's going to be a little bit of a trick. So let me go ahead and get this part cleaned up. We'll change that seal, and I'll feel much better about myself now that I'm knowing that this is all being done right. All right, getting this seal out wasn't too bad. Just take a little screwdriver and just get behind it and wedge it. But once you do this, you've committed. You're changing it. So, but it's popping out. Now I got to find a nice, clean, easy way to press that in, tap that in, or something. But it's coming out. Not willingly, but it's coming out. There we go. There it is. All right. So now I need to get the next one. I need to clean that up and get that pressed in. Let me find something to do that. And I think it's be too small for a socket. I don't think I'm gonna be able to have a socket that's gonna go just right perfectly in that. So I might have to just be very tender with it. But let me go ahead and figure out a way to do that. I will point out though that even though I did beat this with a screwdriver, this rubber is cracking. It's cracking all the way around, and that should not have done that, not with me beating it with a screwdriver. So that seal is hardened. Look at that. Look at that. So this seal was ready for the dumpster. So glad I decided to pull that off and put this new seal in. Because what that would do is that would get into, if this would leak, that would get into the clutch plates, and that would ruin the clutch. And who knows what else. So that's the right thing to do. So let me show you what I come up with. I took a 6-inch, I got a 6-inch clamp, put it in my vise, and I've got the part in the vise, and then I have an extra body washer. So that's a big diameter washer, and I just have it in here. And I've got the seal. Let me turn this so you can see it. There you go. So now I've got you see the seal in there, and I'm going to try to turn this, and hopefully that will go in flat without crushing it. So let's see. I got it cheated kind of up. Don't turn that. Come on, you gotta go. Oh yeah, it's squared up there. There we went. Oh yeah. It went from being sideways. There it goes. Woohoo! All right. That's in there. Look at that. All right. Let's see. Make sure I got the whole thing in. Oh, one last comment. Don't doubt that this is backwards, because this is the outside. So if this had been tapped in this way, it would look like this on the backside, because that's the side of the seal you want towards the liquid. Well, this gasket N8094, and it says performance materials made in the USA, and I mean, this is like wafer thin paper, and I was worried about this goes in the bottom, but I noticed that the gasket, if you don't index the gasket correctly, it doesn't align. So these 4 bolts are not on a square pattern. They're on an offset pattern some sort of way, so you can't possibly put this on the wrong way. So I'm going to have some Permatex form a gasket. This is this little black tar-like goop. This is for aircraft applications and marine applications. All right, I gave the seal a little bit of a helping hand with a little bit of a lubricant. This little indent goes to the bottom, and the seal doesn't hit the shaft until the way back. Put the bolts in. I'll clean those up. I got a little bucket with some gasoline in it, and that's what I've been using to clean all my parts. Just simple gasoline. Alright, we'll get these started, get them tightened up, and that'll be that. Well, I've had several unsuccessful attempts to get this together, because you have to have everything in just the right spot and then not displace the gasket. And there, okay, there it is. And I was worried about this reverse lever, or the shaft. It's indented, and when you pull it tight, it doesn't pull all the way up. But then when I think when I tighten and pull the shifter linkage on it, it's gonna pull it where it needs to be. But man, this has been a challenge. Shoot, I mean, I thought putting this back was gonna be difficult, but not like it's proven. I think this is indicative of a pain in the foot. This seal is flush, and then the replacement has a flange, which the flange makes a lot of sense because I have no idea how in the heck I'm going to get underneath that without absolutely just completely destroying the seal. So let me mangle and maul that thing out, and then we'll tap this in place. Look what it took to get this thing out. That's what it took. So thank goodness this thing's got a flange on it, if ever I needed to change it again, which is probably never. But at least now I got it off. Shoot, man. That's ridiculous. Alright, so now we need to tap this new one in place. This new one in place here. And with the flange, it isn't so bad. Look at this. Going in is easy. Going out cost me a screwdriver and everything else. Alright, turning the corner. I'm not going to tell you about the last 2 hours that I just lost. The speedometer cable has an O-ring in it. So I said, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and I'll change that. So I did, and I lost the speedometer gear in the tailpiece. And it took me 2 hours to fish it out. And I got it though. But I'm wearing the transmission because of that. But I got it out. So now what I'm going to do is, like I said, these Saginaws, apparently they were just cast iron from the factory. They weren't painted, so I'm going to paint it with Seymour's cast glass cast iron gray finish just to keep it clean. And then we can turn our attention to that Hurst shifter after I get it painted. Here, I'm going to get that Hurst shifter cleaned up, re-lubed, mounted to this transmission, and then what I'll probably do is I'll end this video on this Saginaw, and then I will turn my attention to starting to put this motor and transmission together and putting them in the car. How you like that? I think that's going to be a feat, an accomplishment, and I'm trying to get that done this weekend. So all this prettiness, nobody's gonna see it. I'm not gonna have any mirrors underneath the car, but that's it. It's gonna be clean, and that's what I really want. Alright, so here it is, all fully reassembled. I took this Hurst Competition shifter apart. I watched a couple of really good videos on that. I'll put a link up there because you don't need to see me do it. I'm not an expert. But I managed to get it taken apart, cleaned up, lubed up. I did readjust my rods. They were off a little tiny bit. Not by much, but I ended up having to bend one or two of these, just a fraction. And sitting on this cart, it shifts well through first, second, third, and fourth, but reverse is kind of hard, so I have to have a little board to kind of cheat it. But here into reverse, that's reverse, and then first, second, third, fourth. There it is, and in neutral. So I hope you got something out of it. I hope that was useful to you. I'm going to turn around now, and I'm going to try to get this motor in this car today. So this is day 3 on this weekend. I finished this yesterday. I left the garage in a mess. I came back this morning to clean up to shoot this. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the car. And but anyway, hope you're enjoying the videos, and if you are, please give them a thumbs up. And if you're enjoying the channel, I'd love a subscription. So until I see you next time, please take care of yourself. Cheers.